Special counsel Jack Smith just laid out his case for still prosecuting Donald Trump for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election. This is despite the Supreme Court's landmark immunity ruling. Smith's team filed a sealed legal brief this week containing evidence and testimony from his office's 2-year investigation. It's now up to Judge Tanya Chutkan to decide how much, if any, of that brief will be released to the public. Joining us now is former FBI General Counsel and former senior member of the Mueller probe, Andrew Weissmann. He's also co-host of the award-winning MSNBC podcast, Prosecuting Donald Trump. Also with us is former Southern District of New York Criminal Division Deputy Chief. Talk about the title, Sonny, Christy Greenberg. Both are MSNBC legal analysts. This is what happens when you get good legal people, Alicia.
It's too good. We have too much to cover. Tell me what you think is in this sealed document and if you think Chutkan's going to unseal it.
Well, there are two things. There's a brief and there's an appendix. And what we really want is the appendix. But what we know from the filing by Jack Smith is that the brief has some quotes from the appendix material, and that is likely to be unsealed. Obviously, you have to wait for what Donald Trump is going to say. But that is sort of teed up to be first decided by Judge Chutkan.
And what is that going to tell us?
Well, it's going to really be about, that's going to be a lot of legal stuff, which we're all going to be like, okay, that's interesting, but it's not going to be that interesting to the public. It's really going to be the parts where it says they're quotes from the appendix material. Here's some bad news, though. With respect to the appendix, the Jack Smith filing said that they have sought to keep not public everything in the appendix. So what's going to be key, the thing that I'm keeping my eye on is the quotes that might be in the legal brief, that first thing. And that we may see relatively soon.
We need to see the appendix. We really do. Okay, we need the appendix, Christy. Can we, Jack, when the thing gets unsealed, we will deep dive, because I need to know more. Can we talk about Eric Adams? Christy, you come from the Southern District of New York. Would they bring an indictment like this without evidence? And I just want to be very clear. I read the indictment. So I just don't understand, from a communications perspective, to see the mayor standing up there giving a press conference that morning. The indictment had been unsealed by then. I didn't understand it, but you tell me what's going on.
Yeah, the Southern District of New York is not going to prosecute the mayor of New York without rock solid evidence. There were 57 pages where you see messages between Mayor Adams and, New York City Fire Department officials. Hey, get that building open, even though it's a safety hazard, get that building open. And then just a few minutes later, he's talking to the Turkish officials. Hey, I'm getting it done for you. I mean, it's in writing. They also have witnesses who are saying, Eric Adams directed me to get these donations from Turkish nationals, knowing they were Turkish nationals. And telling me and saying, yeah, go ahead. Delete messages. I always do. I mean, it was really, I think, a very detailed indictment on purpose so that, all of New York can see the evidence and just how strong it is that he was clearly engaged in corruption here. And looking at how far back it goes, it goes back to when he was in 2015, the Brooklyn borough president. And you look at really how this foreign interference works, that the Turkish government was looking at him as an easy mark early on. They played a long game. And then ultimately he proved to be the useful idiot that they wanted. Whenever they needed to call in a favor to have him do something that they wanted, he did it. And that's spelled out clearly in the indictment.
5 charges here. I have to imagine you anticipate a superseding indictment.
Yes. The fact that they did a search of Gracie Mansion, the official residence of the mayor, on the same day as the indictment, that tells you they're not looking for evidence solely with respect to the charges that they just brought. There is a continuing investigation. And what was unusual with the prosecutor, the lead prosecutor, Damon Williams, when he announced this, is he said there will be additional facts and cases going forward. That sort of definitive statement is extremely unusual.
Can you talk to me then about that choice in sequencing, right? To say we already have this, and so we're going to proceed with these 5 charges, knowing is it unusual to say, to have Damon Williams out there saying, anticipate more?
Yeah, why do it like that?
Well, I can think of one timing reason. Well, sometimes you bring charges and you continue an investigation and then you supersede. We've seen it. Everyone's sort of been educated in the Trump cases. But one reason to bring this case at the time they did is because of the United Nations General Assembly. If you think of this case in connection with the enormous work that National Security Division of the Department of Justice has done in the last few weeks, where they're bringing cases against sort of foreign interference, whether it's Russia, whether it's other foreign countries. And now this, it is a way of sending a message, and especially when the United Nations General Assembly is here saying, we will not tolerate this.
Erdogan had left they did wait to, I guess, press send on the press release until Erdogan had left the country. His flight was in the air. Christy, your thoughts as someone who comes from the department, what quite possibly, just bring us inside, maybe what people could be thinking about, what are the kind of conversations that would be happening right now? And then I'm wondering, who is running City Hall? Because lots of people keep resigning. Like, truly, like, who is at work besides the mayor?
Yeah, I thought the statements that were made from Damian Williams were incredibly strong, where he says, this isn't about right and the left. This is about right and wrong, because when you have Mayor Adams getting up there and saying, I am targeted because of my political statements, my views on migrants coming into New York City, that's just nonsense.
He also said he was targeted because he's a black man, and Damian Williams, the SDNI, is a black man.
Right. And this investigation, based on public reporting, started in 2021, well before a large number of migrants were coming into New York City. It has nothing to do with Mayor Adams' political views. This is solely about the fact that he was engaged in pretty blatant corruption. I mean, when he was Brooklyn borough president, there's not a very large Turkish population in Brooklyn. And yet he's, giving press conferences about all the trips he's taking to Brooklyn. Like, he made it pretty clear, like, something's off here. And so it's not surprising that prosecutors would have started looking at this. I think sending that kind of a strong message, like Andrew said, when the UN General Assembly is happening, because look back 3 years even. 3 years ago is when, Turkish President Erdogan is opening that Turkish consulate, that high-rise building, at the ribbon cutting ceremony, making a big show of it. And now 3 years later, there's a prosecution in connection with Eric Adams allowing that building to open, even though it was a safety hazard. So there is some symmetry here. I think that's symbolic and important, and it's important, I think, for the U.S. Attorney's Office to really come out and say, yeah, we're not going to tolerate this kind of blatant corruption when the whole world is watching, when the UN General Assembly is happening.
Can you just talk a little bit about the governance crisis that Simone raised? Because it is the challenge of Eric Adams being an executive.
Well, I think that's what you're seeing for the people who are saying that he should resign. It really, in many ways, I think people sort of confuse the presumption of innocence with the privilege of holding office. The presumption of innocence is incredibly important. I mean, both as prosecutors and defense lawyers, that's sacrosanct. But that's different. As
perhaps evidenced best by the fact that you had former Mayor Bill de Blasio being among the first to remind us that he is entitled to that presumption of innocence.
Absolutely. But that's different than whether you're entitled to have the privilege of serving in office. And so the issue is whether he can continue to do what, remember, he is a public servant. I mean, there's no right to be there if you're not able to do your job fully. I think you see that in the statement by the governor. Saying that her concern right now and wants the mayor to think long and hard about his obligation to the public, because it's impossible to think that this is not so distracting that he's going to continue to be able to serve, not just because of him, but he has so many, as you pointed out, there are just so many people who have now left government because of the ongoing investigation.
Eric Adams has said he is staying in office, he is not resigning, and that he didn't do it.